Welcome to another tutorial. Here we are discussing various statistical measurements and hypothesis testing using R. Today we will discuss students t-test, and in the last video we already have discussed the test of significance for qualitative data, the what is AC score, the introduction to p-value, and we had taken a problem and applied that into R. If you have not watched that video, you can find it by clicking the I button here. So today we will discuss student t-test, the difference between the z-test that we have learned earlier and today we will learn t-test, the difference between them. And two types of t-test are there, one-tailed and two-tailed t-test, the difference between them, and then we will finally take some problems and apply R to solve those problems. What is student's test? Actually, the name of the inventor of this t-test formula is William Seeley Gosset. He took the name student anonymously while publishing the research article. That's why the name student's test came from. So it is a very common test used in biomedical research, and it is applied to test significance of difference between two means, and it has the advantage that it can be used for small samples. As we have seen in case of z-score, it cannot be applied to small sample sets, but t-test can be applied to small sample sets. So there are two types, one sample t-test and paired t-test. So in case of unpaired t-test, it is also called one sample t-test or one-tailed, and paired t-test, which is called two-tailed. So what is unpaired or one sample t-test? One sample t-test for the mean of a normal distribution. So here the variance of the population or the standard deviation of the population is unknown. So you will use the sample standard deviation. That is the difference of the t-test between the t-test and the z-test, where in the case of z-test you know the sample and population standard deviation. Here you do not know the population standard deviation, you have to work with the sample standard deviation. Obviously the formula changes. Instead of sigma you write S, which is the sample standard deviation. So x bar minus mu 0 was the population mean, by S, which is the standard deviation of the sample, by square root of n, which is the number of items you have in the sample. Now if your observed t is less than the cutoff t value with the same alpha, which is the significance level, then we reject the null hypothesis. If your t value is greater than that, then we accept the null hypothesis. This is what happens with t-test. We will take an example of t-test and see how it works. So here in this example, we want to test the hypothesis that mothers with low socioeconomic status deliver babies whose birth weights are lower than normal. So that is the hypothesis that we want to test or establish. To test this hypothesis, a list is obtained of the birth weights from 100 consecutive live-born babies, also from the maternity ward of the hospital. Now the birth weight is found to be 115, okay, and a sample standard deviation which is 24. Now we know the nationwide survey, which is the population mean, the birth weight of the population mean is 120. Now we got this to be 115 from lower socioeconomic mother. Now is it by chance, or it is something different or significant we have caught here that we want to test? So one sample t-test for the test hypothesis is this, that mu is equal to 120, that mu is equal to 120, which is the population mean, it is equal to the sample mean here as well, or which is our alternative hypothesis, mu is less than 120, that is lower birth weights has been reported by the lower socioeconomic mother using a significance level of 0.05. that is what we want to test. So whether our claim that the low socioeconomic status mother with low socioeconomic status delivers babies with lower birth weight than the normal is 120 and we got 115, but is it by chance or is it something significant that we want to test? We compute the test statistics as going by this formula, x bar minus mu 0 by s root n. So x bar, which is the sample mean here, is 115, right, and the population mean is 120, by s, which is the standard deviation of the sample, which is 24 here we got, and by the square root of n, number of patients is 100, right? So here minus 5 by 2.4, which is minus 2.08. Now, as we have said that if t is less than n minus 1 by alpha, n minus 1 is the degree of freedom and alpha is our standard is our significance level. So if t is less than cutoff t value is this, then we reject the null hypothesis. So here we have achieved our observed t value as minus 2.08. So what is the cutoff t value here? So for the cutoff t value, we will use to compute the cutoff t value, we will use an R function which is called TINV, which is T inverse function with the significance level and the degree of freedom, which is 100 minus 1, 99. And this is in the library PEIP. So if you go into R and type this library PEIP and TINV, you will get a t value of minus 1.66, which is the cutoff t value here. Now our observed t, see, the observed t is less than the cutoff t value, so we reject the null hypothesis. So we can claim that this is not by chance that we got a lower birth weight of lower than normal, but it is significant enough to prove that our hypothesis that mothers with lower socioeconomic deliver babies whose birth weights are lower than normal. So that is how we test the hypothesis using t-test. A critical question that would come into mind, that where to use z-test and where to use t-test, because the formula remains the same, almost the same, but the change in formula is that S and sigma. In case of z-test, we had sigma in place of S, right? So here the theory says that when you know the population standard deviation, you will go for the z-test. But if you do not know the population standard deviation, rather you know the sample standard deviation, you will go for t-test, right? And also if your sample size is above 30, you can go for t-test, so z-test. But if you have low sample size, less than 30, you should go for t-test. We will see a particular example where we will apply z-test when the sample standard deviation, the population standard deviation is known, and we apply t-test when the population standard deviation is not known. So here is an example where the mean serum creatinine level measured in 12 patients that after they received a new drug, which is 1.2. Now if the mean and standard deviation of the serum in the general population are 1 and 0.4. Now here this is in general population mean, it is the population mean. Population mean is 1 and the population standard deviation is 0.4. So we know the population standard deviation here. Now the significance level in this question is 0.05. Whether we have to test whether the mean serum creatinine level in the group is different from that of the general population, that we want to test. Now see here, we know the mean of the population as well as the standard deviation of the population, so we can go for a z-score test here. So let us use R for that to test the hypothesis here. So as we have seen, the mu is 1.0 and the sigma is 0.4, which is the standard deviation of the population. Mean of the sample is 1.2 and the significance level alpha is 0.05, and the number of items in number of people in the sample is 12. So let us run this line. So we have got all these here. Now z is equal to, z will be the absolute value of x mean, which is the sample mean, minus the population mean by sigma, the population standard deviation, by square root of n, right? So what is our z value that we observed z value? See, the observed z value that we got here is 1.732, right? 1.732 here. So the cutoff z score that we want to calculate now, and cutoff z score can be obtained by the q norm function in R with the alpha, that is the significance level. So here you can see that in this case we have a two-tailed z-test, right? Here like this, you have a two-tailed z-test where your significance level is 95% here and 2.5% in both the side right? This is 2.5% both the side. So your alpha is also 0.05, which is 5%, is actually distributed in two halves, 2.5% each in the left and right part. So your significance level will be tested with a two-tailed test, and your alpha value will be divided in two halves with mean is equal to 0 and standard deviation is equal to 1, and you take the two halves, so lower dot tail is equal to false. So now check the cutoff z-score, which is 1.95. so here we have 1.73, which is observed z-score, and 1.95, which is the cutoff z-score. So as the observed z is less than the cutoff z, so we have to accept the null hypothesis. We do not have enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So our conclusion here is that we accept the null hypothesis. Now, what is the p-value for this test that we want to get here? So again, let us go into R and find out what is our p-value for the test. So to find the p-value, as it is a two-tailed test, we will use the p-norm function with lower dot tail is equal to false and mean is equal to 0 and is equal to 1. So with the qz value, and as it is two-tailed, that is both in the left and right part, we can reject the null hypothesis here. So we just multiply the result with 2. So the p-value will be here 0.083. So the p-value here we can report is 0.083. Okay, so the next question here is that suppose the sample standard deviation of the serum creatine is 0.6. Now here the sample standard deviation is known and the population standard deviation is not known, right? Assume that the sample standard deviation of the serum is not known, so the population standard deviation is not known. And in these cases, how you report or how do you find out the hypothesis test or the p-values here? So you have to use the t-test here, as you have seen that if the standard deviation of the population is not known, you use the t-test. So let us use the t-test using R here again. So we have standard deviation SD is equal to 0.6, which is nothing but the sample standard deviation, and T is equal to the sample mean minus the population mean by standard deviation by square root of n. So here we will get the T value, which is, see, the T value is 1.15, right? This is our observed T value. Now we have to check whether this observed T value is greater or less than the cutoff T value. So what is the cutoff T value? How do we get that? Using the TI function, which is a T inverse function, which is in PIP library. So you have to just insert this library first, and then we have to test using TINV alpha comma the degree of freedom, which is n minus 1. Here n was 12, so n minus 1 is 11. So with degree of freedom, what is the TINV here? TINV is minus 1.79. So whether to reject or accept the null hypothesis here, as here 1.15, that is the observed T value, is less than the cutoff T value, we cannot reject the null hypothesis. We have to accept the null hypothesis. So here again we accept the null hypothesis. There is no significance difference is there. Now how to find the p value? Same way, using the pt function. Pt function gives the p value given the t and the degree of freedom with lower tail is equal to false. Why? Because it was a two-tail test, so lower tail will be false here. So there you go. So there you go, 2 into pt, this t into lower tail is equal to false. So 0.27 is the answer, that is the p value here. So as again the significance level of p value is 0.05, as it is way above than 0.05, so we have to accept the null hypothesis here. So now how to decide whether it is one or two-tailed test, right? That is one other question that may come to mind. If the claim has an equal sign in it, like claim means that your sample mean, which is x bar, is equal to the population mean, which is mu. if you are testing like this, then your x bar, which is the sample mean, if it is less than the population mean, you are wrong. If it is greater than the population mean, again you are wrong. So your sample mean or your idea or your claim being right falls within a region like this. Here your idea is getting true, right? And your idea is getting false in those two cases where you are either greater than or lower than that. So here you should go for two-tailed test. But if you are saying that my x bar, which is my population x bar, which is my sample mean, is greater than your population mean, then your testing criteria is only testing for greater than. So you are like here, your x bar, and your x bar is getting is greater than your mu. So if you are going wrong, then you are here in this part, so you are testing for one tail test only. Similarly, for x bar is less than mu as well. If you are testing like this, here also you are testing only in this part, not in that part. So you should go for one tail test. So if the claim is equal sign, then you should go for two tail test. If it has greater than or lower than sign, you are going for one tail test. Now what is paired test here? So the second part of t-testing is the paired test, and this test is used where each person gives two observations, before and after values. Like for example, the same person given two observations, before and after giving new drug, and in these cases you should use for paired t-test. So in unpaired t-test, as we have seen here, we had only one sample and we had to test whether this sample mean is equal to the population mean or not. And here we have a sample and we collect the data for the same sample before and after of some particular, it may be some application of drug or anything else like that. So here we are taking an example, another biological example here, that a new drug is reducing the anxiety score of 10 patients. So we are in a clinical trial to test whether the drug is significantly reducing the anxiety score or not. So these are some data before the treatment with the drug on 10 patients, and also we collect after the patient has been treated with the drug, we collect the same anxiety score, and this is the anxiety score. So we want to test whether the drug is significantly affecting in reducing anxiety score with a 0.05 significance level. Now we can test what is the significance level of 0.0, what is the t value of 0.05 significance level, and degree of freedom is equal to 9 using the same function, which is TINV function, right? And here you will, if you just put 0.05 with 9, which is the degree of freedom, and you will eventually get this is 2.21, right? So you can use that. Now I have to calculate my observed t value, and to calculate the observed t value in paired t-test, we should first calculate the difference between the before treatment and after treatment, that is x1 and x2. So the difference is like this. This is my x summation of x and x1, this is my summation of x2, and this is my summation of difference between x1 and x2, which is 13. What is x bar, which is the difference bar? So that is the mean of the difference is 1.3. Why? Because see, the total is 13 and how many samples were there? 10. 13 by 10 is 1.3 is the x bar. So now we want to calculate the standard deviation, which is x minus x bar whole square by n minus 1 in case of sample. Summation of x minus x bar whole square. So we just calculate x minus x bar, then take the square of that, and then the sample standard deviation is this, x minus x bar whole square by n minus 1. I take a summation of that. So this is 186.1 by 9 and square root, because we are taking sample standard deviation. So as for standard deviation, the formula goes like this, and you get 4.54 as the standard deviation. What is the mean? Mean obviously is 13 by 10 is 1.3. So now we can check the t. We can calculate the t, which is standard error, which is sd by square root of n. So here first let us calculate standard error, sd by square root of n, which is 4.54 by square root of 10, 1.43, and your x bar by this se is your t value. So your t value here is 1.3 by 1.43, which is 0.9, and the degree of freedom is n minus 1, which is 10 minus 1 is equal to 9. So here see the observed t value is 0.9, and our t inverse, using the t inverse, the significance level of 0.05, we observed t value is 2.21, that is the cutoff t value. So in this case, as the t value that we got is lower than the table p value is 2.21, we accept the null hypothesis, and so we can say that we do not have enough evidence to prove our statement that we have claimed in case of rejecting the null hypothesis, and conclude that there is no statistical significance difference in the anxiety score before and after the treatment. So cannot definitely say whether this drug is effective in reducing the anxiety score or not. So we conclude that the difference might have occurred because of chance. Chance here is the p, which is greater than 0.05, the p value. So there is no significance difference between before and after treatment. So if you like this video, please share, like, and if you have any question, please place it in the comment box.